Welcome to Season 3 of Bipolar She. I'm your host, Janine Noel. Before we get started, the content of this show does include suicide and suicidal ideation. If you are ever in need of immediate support, please dial 988, a suicide and crisis lifeline. I believe in the healing power of writing and speaking our mental health stories in all their raw details. So let's go. Hi, JD. Good morning.
Hi, Janine. Good morning to you.
Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Oh, it's my pleasure to be back.
It's good to have you back.
How has your year been?
It's interesting to frame it in a podcast year.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was better than the year before, actually. This podcast has brought a lot of good stuff into my life, even though it's really hard content. So at the same time, it's been inspiring. There's also this other component that people are really struggling when I talk to them. And so hearing those stories is painful too. So I've become aware of more suffering around me, which is difficult.
Have you found yourself suffering in any ways, or are you feel pretty stable, or how does it feel right now for you?
I feel pretty stable to the point where I don't really have a plan or anything in place. If I were to get sick, I guess, or become manic, there's really no game plan for me in terms of support system or care or what would happen. So I've been flying solo without a backup plan for 12, 13 years. And so my backup plan is usually if a little something breaks through, then I do have a medication I can take and just increase and work on my sleep, increase that medicine, and pretty much contain it. But I would say that the other side, that edge of mania is close. I was on a walk the other morning with a friend, and I had this zipper pull on my sweatshirt. Right. And I heard this noise behind me. It sounded like a leaf scratching up on the asphalt right behind me. I'm like, what is going on? I kept looking back. I was like, is it a leaf chasing me? What is going on? And then I realized it was this little zipper pull underneath my chin going a little creaking back and forth.
Right. Oh my gosh.
And it was so intense and it was so loud. I went, oh my God, this is a sign. This is a symptom. For me, it's often something auditory. And so that scared me. But I had also had another bad night's sleep and had taken a lot of medication. So I think it was almost induced by medication. But that auditory thing is one of the first symptoms I felt it somewhat recently walking through my neighborhood. It was morning and kids were going to school and parents were walking them. And I had my dog, and all of a sudden I heard this conversation from these two moms, and it was coming straight at me. And it was really loud. It was as if they were speaking at me. And then this dad, who was very young and handsome, started to talk to me. And I felt like, wait, I know I'm not part of this community, but who am I? Am I some sort of special part of this community? And so a moment like that, and then I go, oh God, I got to get home, get me away from this stimuli. And then I just go home and take medicine and close my shades and call it a day, a sick day. So I do have those moments. I would say every 3 months, I probably feel something like that. And have to go a couple nights up on medication. So it's very close. And I wish it wasn't close. At the same time, I feel pretty confident that medicine and sleep is going to be all that I need. But I still feel terrified. I feel terrified if I'd have to go into a hospital again. If I had to go into a hospital again, I don't know if I'd make it. I feel like my spirit may not take another hit like that.
Yeah. This sounds like a nightmare when you talk about these episodes. I just want to understand a little bit more about the bipolar dynamic. So there are two sides to it, right? There's manic and depressive, right? It sounds like you're talking about like the manic, which that must be the one that is really more fearful and can be more disruptive to your psyche. But is there the other side where like you go like, oh, I also am having the dark thoughts of depression as well?
Yeah, I don't think I'm having the dark thoughts of depression. I think mania for me is not, you know, they talk about hypomania is when you're just kind of
Mm-hmm.
coasting, things are going great. That's the entrepreneurial lifestyle
Right.
is, hypomania. And then mania is when your perceptions change. And then psychosis can follow mania.
Right.
So I don't really have much hypomanic or manic. Like my manic goes pretty fast to psychosis.
Oh, I
So these
see.
auditory hallucinations, or not, they're not hallucinations. It's just I feel the world like talking at me and I can hear every detail. And that is almost like psychosis, I would say. And for me, there has always been paranoia with mania. So I might feel, oh, this feels really great. I might be out on a jog. I might feel really great about life and thinking about something. And then all of a sudden, I'll have this like undercurrent of like, no, this is hell. You're in hell. And it's like
Mm.
you go a couple steps ahead with happiness or joy, and then it gets undercut by this, no, you're in hell. That's your reality. It's close to psychosis. I don't feel these highs of, wow, let's spend, let's spend a ton and go shopping and whole credit
Right.
card stuff. Like I wish that was my mania, but in fact,
Mm-hmm.
it's different than that.
So if it goes to psychosis, that's what would make you have to go to the hospital, right?
Actually, one of the medications I take is an antipsychotic medication. So I can just increase that medicine. So the goal is always just to increase that medicine, stay home, stay out of the hospital. But if for some reason that didn't contain things,
Right.
then I probably would have to go to a hospital. And I think that's a
Right.
reality for most bipolar folks.
Mm.
There's not quite as much control as we would like there to be. But yeah, so I have these like glimmers, like this auditory stuff, little glimmers of craziness that kind of pop up and remind me. And I just have to be really diligent. Even last night, somehow I drank more caffeine and then that screws me up. And then I live in fear, like, oh my God, 2 nights without sleep. It could be coming. 3 nights with sleep. Oh my God, it's going to come for me.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm. So sleep is really key, huh? I mean, it's really important that you get that rest.
yeah, and I'm obsessed about it. So it kind of becomes a bad cycle. Like, just tell
Right.
myself it's really not that big of a deal if I lose one night's sleep, okay? I'm not
Right.
necessarily going to become manic. And I can talk myself down a bit.
And when you say lose one night's sleep, I mean, you're talking about like losing a few hours? Are you really talking about being pretty much up the whole night?
Well, being up basically until like 3 and sleeping for a few hours.
Ugh, yeah, that's awful. That feeling, you wake up and you just feel horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was something that we talked about earlier about the family dynamics and how it might relate to your family and some of the anger and disappointment you might feel around, did I get the right kind of support from my family? And was this possibly exacerbated by the way my family handled this? I don't know if that's an area that you feel comfortable talking about, but it seems like that could be important too.
I think it's really important. I think there's a trend right now for maybe psychiatrists, the mental health field to take some focus away from family functioning and just say that it is, it's society and it's your brain chemistry that has really left you with bipolar disorder or any depression. But I think that's really tricky because I think our families absolutely form us and shape
Mm-hmm.
us. And if we leave the family out of these equations and nobody is taking any sort of responsibility for things, I think that we will not be able to get ahead of these illnesses without doing work with families. Yeah, there's been no one in my family has ever said, I know you've had a really hard time. I'm sure doing X, Y, and Z didn't help you, or I really regret, or I'm really sorry about what happened to you there. There's been no conversations like that whatsoever. And so this is kind of complicated. I don't know if we've talked about it before, but there's this role in a family called the identified patient.
Okay, what does that mean?
So that means there is someone in the family, it's almost like the black sheep, someone in the family that takes
the sick one.
That takes on that energy in the family, and nothing is wrong with everybody else, and everything is just wrong with that one person in the family.
Right.
So they're the sick one, they're the issue. If we keep them sick, then the family can go on functioning and look good, basically. So I became the sick kid in my family, and that became a role. And I think I started to feel safe in that role because I got some attention. I know that my mom was looking out for me when I was sick. And then the family could dance around and do whatever the hell they wanted to do. But if I was sick in that role, that was kind of a safe place for me to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as the bipolar stuff, as the Crohn's stuff came up, was I in a role where I went, okay, this is okay. I feel safe in this illness role. Okay, I'll take on some more. I'll take on some more Crohn's disease. Oh, you know what? I'll just get really crazy, because if I'm crazy, insane shit, no one has to believe any of this is going on. So there's part of me that really feels that I know I was the identified patient in our family and everything was wrong with me. So I don't believe that had to happen.
Right.
And if that had not happened, I do not believe I would have had such serious Crohn's disease or such serious bipolar disorder.
And I wonder if it comes from, because when you're little, I mean, you just want, first of all, you just want to be loved, And so in a way, it's like, well, they're loving me more. I'm getting more attention. I'm getting more of what might feel like love. So I need to do more of this.
Yeah, I think there's a lot going on at an unconscious level. And then beyond that, there should have been more of a fight for me to save my body with Crohn's disease. Like, I know that my family tried to get me really good care, but at the same time, there was a lot of denial about it. When I was first diagnosed, it was like, let's shut up and not talk about this. And the family is not going to talk about it. And
really?
Oh, yeah, I told you about that.
It just seems so ironic because, I mean, people are also involved in, medicine in your family to some extent, but to not want to talk about it. Strange.
Well, when it comes to mental illness, it's completely
right.
different, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I needed to have 7 psychiatric hospitalizations. I didn't need to lose my colon and have an ileostomy. Like, I don't know exactly what stops along the way would have prevented that. It's hard to describe, but I think if I wasn't in that patient role and somehow finding comfort or safety, it's a safe place to be.
Mm-hmm.
If that hadn't occurred to me before I went to college or went off into the world, I think I would have been a different person.
Right.
Because it's even when I was coming out of Crohn's disease, I remember this girl looking at me and she's saying, it's really hard to live again. Like, it's hard to put yourself out there and live again. And I was like, yeah, I kind of understand that. If you're stuck in a mental health crisis or you're stuck in Crohn's disease because you don't have any responsibilities when you're sick. And to engage in the world can be a scary place because you might fail. You don't know what's coming. So there's safety and security in a sick body. My brain has been damaged by this.
Right.
As the years have gone on, and you got to protect our brains, right? We need neuroprotective medications, and we just really have to look out for them. But unfortunately, as my brain aged and as I had successive hospitalizations, medication, I do bump up against mania or psychosis. And that's a shame. Like, my brain should not have been that knocked around in this.
Right.
I just think it did not have to get this bad. There's a part of me that's like, well, why did I allow it to get this bad?
Oh, that's a tough thing to say to yourself because you were in it and, not fully in charge of the situation. It was happening to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe that's just some blame or something that I have going on.
Do you feel like they still work, though, as well as they did before? Are you building up any tolerance to them, or have they always been pretty reliable for you?
Medicine?
Yeah.
Medicine has always been somewhat reliable for me. I don't know if I talked about this, but I do take Seroquel, which is just a pretty heavy hitter. So many of us are on it. When I take it, I actually get induced crazy thinking, basically. So
Really?
I have to take another medication to calm me down when I take the Seroquel, so I don't have this nightmarish, intrusive thinking go on. And
Oh,
so, I mean, it's really an imperfect
yeah.
solution. It's my daily and it's my rescue medication.
Right. But there's no silver bullet because the Seroquel has that other side to it.
Yeah, it's not perfect. I went out to a concert and came back home, and the next day I really pay for it in terms of sleep, which leads to a lonely life too.
Sure. Right. Because you have to get back home, get to bed. I mean, you probably go to bed pretty early, I would
I
think.
do. And so to
Yeah.
actually have an intimate relationship with someone, they would really have to understand this and understand that I'm not a fun, impromptu person.
Right.
Part of me feels very lonely and isolated because of that. And I do have this feeling that no one is really going to want to participate in this effort. So I
Right.
already feel like a tremendous amount of rejection or carrying that through.
Right. It must make you almost reluctant to even try because you're afraid, you'll be discovered maybe and they'll see it and turn away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then throw the ileostomy in there as well. And it's like, who is going to manage this or who's going to want to be a part of this?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just got to kind of a sad place talking about that.
And so when you think about like the future, I mean, are you just like, look, I just want to be stable, or are you going like, I think I can improve the situation?
I think I can improve the situation. I don't think I'm going to be able to improve taking medicine daily and having
Right.
short nights. I think I'm pretty much stuck on that. I mean, there is this part of me that wanted to go to some sort of, I don't know, resort or something, or rehab facility where you work in the garden and you try and get down off your medications. I don't think our society is set up for that exactly.
Yeah.
Or we'd all be out there
Yeah.
digging gardens. But I think my life will improve through more meaningful work
Mm-hmm.
and more connection to others. I think it can be a less lonely life. I definitely see that.
I would think the podcast might have, factored into that and helped somewhat, or maybe not. I don't know. Maybe it's caused more pressure for you. I don't know.
I do get a little pressure. I had trouble sleeping last night, and that might have been some of the pressure.
So did I. Yeah. I was like, what am I going to talk about? Oh, I have to tell the truth tomorrow. Yeah.
I think the podcast has already brought some really meaningful moments into my life, just being able to speak openly. I didn't think anyone would ever be interested in my life. And so if we do get into it and talk about it, I hope there are listeners that it does help. So for me, it's advocacy work that
Mm-hmm.
makes me excited to do the podcast and put myself out there. To me, that makes it feel like this is coming full circle in a way
Mm-hmm.
that, yeah, I really actually don't believe I needed to get so sick to come to this point. But if this is how I can work or help, then I love it and I'll jump on the chance to.
Right. Kind of redeems it a little bit, the suffering. You can convert that into helping people and protecting or preventing it for other people. Yeah.
I hope so. I think that's the hope of a podcast and putting stories out there. But it's still a hard place.
Hey, we recognize that I'm in kind of a hard place myself, and you have your own challenges, and that's just reality and realistic. We're not trying to, put rose-colored glasses on.
Yeah, it's been a different kind of life, JD. And I think that you've had a lot more accomplishments with acting, even if you don't want to give yourself credit for that. I think for me, having these big like dips where I was just not productive and just surviving throughout my 20s and 30s.
Yeah.
Yeah, you lose a lot. And I think for women at 50, you also lose children. You lose, those are all big moments to deal with. So it's been, when I think about it, it's just not the life I thought. Like, you get the Dartmouth diploma, which has been in my mom's closet for 30 years. And for me, it's just like, okay, I didn't get the degrees. They're not hanging on my walls. I didn't get the big jobs. I'm not sitting at those desks. I didn't get these things, but I think I got something else.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I just got to survive.
Right.
And I think that was like my job was just to be like, I survived it.
Yeah. Also, you write about it. And like, I think that makes a difference. I am a writer as well. And I feel like when you write about something honestly, you become bigger than it. Even if it's a story that's difficult and painful and humiliating, writing about it kind of makes you encircle it and go, oh, okay, this is what it is. And I'm going to deliver it somehow to the world. And that is a way of processing it. And you're a really awesome writer. I just want to add, because I know you're writing and it's really great.
Well, I know you're writing. Your writing is really great, JD.
Thank you. Mutual admiration club here.
Yeah. I was thinking about writing and I really got into it. Well, you remember when we taped that episode where I was assaulted?
Yes, I do.
So I remember that happening and I wrote about it pretty quickly after. And I think I started taking writing classes right after that happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just able to get it down on paper. And I was meeting a group of writers that I barely knew. So I had like 8 photocopies of this unfortunate rape event in my backpack. I was going to go share it with this group of strangers. We were having like an impromptu workshop in San Francisco. And I was like, I just wrote it. Oh my God, I'm just going to give this to everyone. And nobody showed up for the
Oh no.
event.
Oh no.
And then I was like, oh my God, that was a close call. I almost gave this totally like severe, uncomfortable chapter to this group. But I look back and I went, that really helped me. I got that down on paper pretty fast.
Yeah.
And then moving forward, I was able to get more down on paper. And I think getting trauma down in any way, just through dialogue or just sketching it out fast and getting it down. They've done studies on it, actually.
Really?
And yeah, there's great studies on how journaling about your hardest and darkest times really improves your mental health. So there's nice studies behind that. But in a way, that very low moment, it got me writing. It got me better mental health care. It was horrific, but it did shift my life.
Actually, when I think about it, the podcast is kind of like writing too, you're crafting something for people to take in, and there's an art to it, and there's a structure to it, and it has its rules in a way,
Yeah,
So it's a way of processing, I guess, is what I'm saying.
it is. As a word editor,
Mm-hmm.
as a written word editor, the audio format is fun, except I over edit because I want it to sound perfect.
Well, just back to the topic of advocacy for a second, because I mean, I really respect it. And what I see is that it's part of the treatment, actually. It's a way of continuing to process and part of the healing process. And just to talk about myself again, I think that that's one element that might be in my future that could help me, which is helping other people. You know, that's ultimately a way of adding value to my life and giving meaning to my life, is helping other people in some way. Because like, I think that that's, you know, an avenue that's really valuable for me for the future. And it's paying off for you as well, I think.
Absolutely. I always thought you couldn't really be an advocate unless you were famous or you had written a book. And
Mm-hmm.
so to have this idea that you can be an advocate just with life experience was something exciting to learn. And I'm going to look at my life a lot differently the more I do this. I mean, even looking at this last year, I mean, you might think I'm crazy with some of the things that I'm saying, but I did process this year, and using the podcast, I was able to see myself in these episodes in a different way and learn to understand
Right.
this illness from a different perspective just through talking to others. And yeah, I mean, I think for me, it kind of means the world because it got hard. It got really, really
Yeah.
hard. And so if I can connect to anybody, it just means the world in any sort of way.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing I see is like, hey, you don't have to be healed or perfect and say, like, you know, I figured it all out. Like, no, I'm still in the fight, but I can still be helping other people, even, you know, where I'm at. In a weird way, maybe like the podcast has kind of forced you to stay on your game because you're like, well, I have to be accountable. You're like, I'm going to try to keep getting better.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I have a lot to lose. You know, if I'm
Right.
not stable, it's not a good lesson for anybody. If
Right.
I'm unstable, I mean, I guess it's reality. It's certainly reality, but there is that, and I talk about it before, there is that little part of me that's like, okay, I'm 13 years post-hospital, 14 years, you know what I mean? So it would feel like a big defeat if I was
You
not
mean if
going,
you ended up?
yeah, if I
Mm-hmm,
was not
mm-hmm.
doing well. Yeah. I feel that the Bipolar Society of America probably doesn't want to hear that, but that's the truth.
Sure.
There is no Bipolar Society of America.
Maybe there should be.
There should be. Okay, well, I think we did it.
Awesome.
Please consider Bipolar She a work of advocacy, getting important stories to those who need them. Please like us and rate us and leave us a review wherever you find your podcasts, and especially on Apple Podcasts. Find us online at bipolarshe.com or at bipolarshe pod on Instagram.